Hey guys, StarCraft here, and well, back to the creator spotlights, and this time, because of how the poll went, I'm going to be doing two in a row. I'm going to try and not do this, mostly because last time I did all those in a row, it caused me, as you all know, to reach burnout. But because of this, and because who's involved, I'm going to be doing both of them, because hey, you guys still want me to do both of them, so why not? This one we're going to talk about, even though technically he was off by 1%, Kevin Smith. Why? I'll be honest, I have fewer things of him that I could show off compared to Jimmy Palmiotti, but also, why not? It's Kevin fucking Smith. So Kevin Smith got himself started with the Clerks movies, of course. I have Brian O'Halloran sign this, by the way. I'm not even supposed to be here today, is what you could barely make him out saying, but I love this movie. I only own the Clerks related movies, but I have seen all of them up to Jersey Girl. I haven't watched much of his other stuff since then, although I am curious in seeing Tusk. But anyway, what I love best about Clerks is what almost everyone does. You kind of relate with Dante. In fact, as I got older, I even more related with him and Randall. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. But yeah, I relate more with them as I got older. It still speaks to me, and maybe because I'm a kid who mostly grew up in the 90s, born in 85, but grew up mostly in the 90s, and you start to kind of feel like that bit of a slackerness to it. There's kind of guys who still don't know where they're going in their life. Then you also have the animated series, love that too, and then Clerks 2. Well, it feels like, what if they just never got out of it until the very end when they finally realized, hey, why don't we just keep doing what we always did because we were good at it, but why don't we own the place? And yeah, but Kevin Smith's, his writing and everything has improved with each movie. Although lately, ever since he became more of a stoner, I kind of question that, but still, I still think, especially his early stuff, especially up to this point, has been complete and utter gold. What can I say? I just love the guy's writing to the point where I love what we're really here to talk about, his comic book work. Now, I don't own the Clerks. Well, first, let me also say this before I go further. As far as the other movies, with hold on one second. Sorry about that. I had to get something out of the way, but anyways, I was saying, with the other movies, Mallrats probably seen the least, but it also represents a lot of stuff. A bit more outdated probably, but it's still just as great writing as ever. Chasing Amy, probably is least connected to everything except for the appearance by, of course, Jay and Silent Bob during it, but still a good movie. Good. It's not early sign of Ben Affleck, both that and Mallrats. Dogma, one of my favorites. I love how he actually makes fun of a lot of the religious subjects, but at the same time does it in a way that makes you think. Like, what if Jesus was black? Or what if there was a black apostle? Or things like that. It really makes you wonder, because it's like, how do we know? Then you have, or also the notion that hell beforehand used to really be the absence of God until everyone, humanity, with their visions of what hell should be, wanting to bring detrimental, made it the hell space it is that we know of hell to be. Then you have Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, fantastic movie. I really do appreciate and love that one as well. Great to see the guys having just a tour de force. If that was his last movie, that would have been a great last movie. Then Jersey Girl, for its first time outside of U.S. Skewiverse, I loved it. I get why some people don't like it, but I personally loved it. One of Ben Affleck's best acting, and I really do think if Gigi really didn't come out, I think it would have done better, but unfortunately it did come out beforehand and taint J-Lo and Affleck and all that, so what are you going to do, right? But let's get into what you really want me to talk about. His comics work, starting with Daredevil, Guardian Devil. Joke aside, did sign this for me, but it's already starting to fade out. What are you going to do? At least I still have one of his other books signed. I still have his signature in, but this, what a great, proper, mainstream first outing. And it took, I'll probably bring it up next day and tomorrow, or Sunday, whichever, Jimmy Palmiotti and Joe Quesada both had to keep on pushing Kevin to get this done. And I love it. It feels like he, without treading on Frank Miller's stuff, going to him, bringing him up again, without treading on his stuff too much, Kevin tells a very endearing story that really brings new life into Daredevil. Plays up the whole Catholic guilt and everything. Has him make him think he's in the care of the the reincarnation of Christ, until later Mephisto, of all people, points out, hold on, I gotta read what he said, because it was actually very clever. Where is it? Mephisto. Now, I'm no literary major, but I'd say that the text has indicated a far different manifestation of the so-called Redeemer than a human infant. Wouldn't you agree, my inquisitive friend of Strange? My God, he's right. Biblically, the Savior is to come back as he left. A man. I love that. And then, of course, he's even saying how, who would have thought it possible of the third raider? Not me, not his peers, probably not even his own mother. How delicious that must be. The broken heart of the harlot, that sired your nemesis. How she might have harbored such high hopes for a child who festered into a a liar, a thief, a murderer of men, and a killer of children. This disgrace must have her spinning in her grave. But and I just love that. Just such great writing right there. And a great handle on Mephisto. Joe Quesada also was at his best during this. But then the big reveal that it's Mysterio. Daredevil was always stealing from Spidey villains. Why not? And again, his reasons are good. This plan of his is ingenious until Daredevil points out and brings him down, and this ends up being at least the Quentin Beck version of Mysterio's final story for a long time, and I couldn't think of a better way. Even though it's not Spidey related, I still think I couldn't have thought of a better way. This story really had an impact until they brushed this time. Even Peter David referenced that Peck was still dead, until they said, nope, faked it. Which, that's a disgrace, if you ask me. But it did what it said to do. It revitalized Daredevil for a new grouping. Got him going again. Really helped kick off the Marvel Knights run. And yeah, helped get Joe Quesada's foot in the door, and after he threw Palmiotti under the bus. And this would eventually lead into him working on Well, he also did Daredevil Bullseye, but I don't own that, or Daredevil Target. I don't own that, and he only did the one issue, and just what would eventually become a trend for him, lost his creative focus. And same thing similar happened to the next one we talked about, although he at least finally finished it. Spider-Man Black Cat, The Evil That Men Do. This first 3 issues got me loving Black Cat. It's because of this and the 90s anime series is why I love Black Cat so much, and why I think she can be a good choice for Peter if she matured and grew up. Unfortunately, for her to mature and grow up is for Peter to get married to Mary Jane, so kind of a catch-22 there. But the Dodson's artwork on this is so amazing, but I just love how he writes flirty, Felicia and Peter. And especially love when she's all like, an item? Who am I kidding? We were doing the nasty. No more, no less. Just, again, just so many of the writing of it in here. Or like, when they kiss, and then he's like, it's alright, no one ever tried to French me in the bath before, and everyone's like, the roof is on fire. Again, so much of this dialogue feels like, like actual people are saying this stuff, which is always, when Kevin's on his A game, he does do good writing. But then, first of all, the ending leaves it open for Felicia's about to get raped because this guy who has limited teleportation teleports a bit of heroin into her bloodstream, thus causing her to get high basically and leaves herself wide open. And then years would go past until he finally came back again after he really felt what he needed to do. And these last 3 issues, you could tell things were different. You could tell the time passed, especially when it reveals that he decided to introduce oh, she didn't have daddy issues. She was raped in college and decided that's what made her become. Now, okay, I get it. He's trying to probably make a statement about things and all that. One thing I will say I like is that in the artwork wise, and this was stated in the script for the issues for this, is that Felicia has a great body, but she's not the knockout. And I like how Terry and Rachel Dodson both show that. It's like, oh no, she's a great looker for a college student, but it's after her working out and basically reaching Olympic level strengths, wanting to get revenge on the guy who raped her, she decided that she starts getting that more incredible body we know her to have, till they die in a car crash, and she basically then felt like, oh, I have nothing to do now. I have nowhere to go, but to get my anger out on, so I'll steal. Maybe then you could fit in, that's where a bit of her daddy influence came from. But basically she completely forgot about it until Spidey came into her life, and then her life started growing much more from there. And then it leads into the final bits of the story where Spidey's thinking, because they're up on near the bridge, that infamous bridge with Gwen, and he thinks, oh no, not again, and he just beats up the guy who has his own tragic backstory. And I will say this, I do like how Kevin Smith ties it into mutants by having me this guy's a teleporter because Nazis experimented, and basically he and his brother are descendants of these people who were experimented on. And having Nightcrawler appear for a brief bit to give that history was fine. I was like, we're not mutant. Mein Gott, I'm surrounded by heathens. You expect us to know your history but not ours? I'm like, okay, I get that. That's cute. Then, Spidey just loses it on the guy, and unfortunately makes Felicia, her work of trying to get him to calm down, go up in smoke. And then at the end of it all, he falls down, and then later on we see Kingpin giving him, selling him the warehouse and everything that comes with it to make him the new Mysterio. The only would get that was Peter David's running friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and this guy's never heard from again. Unfortunately, because I thought that was interesting. A guy who, but now the one thing I don't like that Peter David did was Smith sets up that he's like, he'll think he's ready to face the familiar, the usual, someone new in the costume, until I then teleport a fist into his head. Then he decides, and Peter David decides, nah, I've changed my mind. I'm just gonna want to shoot you. Peter, really? Ah, well. But seriously, the first 3 issues I love. The last 3, I get what he was going for, and it's still better handled than other stuff currently, but no, that's fit for the Marvel stuff that I have from him. Let's get into his DC stuff. First starting with Green Arrow, Quiver, and Sounds of Violence. Basically, he's given the opportunity to bring back Oliver Queen from the dead, and it's a trip. Because he decides, I'm not just going to bring him back. I'm going to first bring him back as he was, where he was the, basically, he comes back with the mindset back before he killed a guy and went to the monastery. This is the guy that's still during the hard traveling heroes phrase. And, hold on, just one moment. Sorry about the interruption again. But as I was saying, he then decides, he brings him back, but basically has it be that Hell resurrected him right around the time of Final Night before he went and sacrificed himself into the sun. And basically he's been wandering around till he's found. And if for a moment you think he's displaced from time, until you later find out, oh, he's back as a empty shell. He has no soul in him. All the memories, nothing else. And it's just actually great seeing him look at everything that's been done, since the old days of Green Arrow, and actually have his old self look upon what happened and be like, what led to here? Why, huh? What caused all this? Why did I become like this? And yeah. Well, speaking of which, this was the first time I ever saw Stephanie Brown as spoiler. I never knew anything about her until she appeared in this. And even then, I'm like, who the heck's that girl? And then later on, I find out who she was. And I'm like, oh, okay. But I like how they're both, she and Batman are both looking him over. Phil Hester's artwork, amazing. I love Phil Hester's work. Yeah, even when I see her as this, put the mask on, I'm just like, who the hell is she? And yeah. But anyway, because they don't even really mention much about her name even. But as it goes on, we also bring in Stanley and his monster. Yeah, that old obscure story. And at first you think, oh, it's this, this is Stanley all grown up. No, it's his uncle. And yeah, Smith goes a little bit creepy by giving him a creeper uncle, but not creeper uncle, a grandfather. But in the end, it ends up working for the best. And that version of him would even appear later on during Infinite Crisis, just for a brief appearance, but still showed he was still around. And by the end of it all, I mean, one of my favorite moments I chose to point out throughout all of this, throughout this entire thing, was, now by this point, Ollie he finds his soul, and eventually his soul is put back into his body. So present day Ollie, since his death, is back in the body of his other self. And basically, his other self is like, to get back in here now. So, but I do love it how basically he then pulls out the trick arrow. He's like, good Lord, we meet again. If the kid sees this, he's never going to let me live it down. Yeah, Ollie, unfortunately, he did find that arrow during JLA, so he already knows about it. But yeah, it was a great bit. They stopped the bad guy. Ollie's properly back, and I still think one of the most original takes on a resurrection. I really do. I think it's very well handled. And then you get into this one, Sounds of Violence. A nice little story that just does a little more an interest one also leads into another funny favorite bit of mine, and that's when Dinah is talking with Stargirl, and basically when she says, like, he's in the library with Connor, she's like, oh God, no. Like, well, what's the problem? You just you left the ultimate liberal and the ultimate conservative alone in the same room together. What's the matter? You don't know what those two are like when they go at it. They're maniacs. They're liable to kill each other. They're yucking it up. Yeah, it's a regular brawl for all in here. Hello? Should I check the air ducts for the Joker's Joker gas? Nah, me and Big Bird were just busting on the ghoul. Do it, Ollie. Do your Batman for Dinah. I tend to expect the unexpected. You did the cape this time. I just love it later. It's like, go practice. You want I should get Ted up here to break them up before they really hurt each other? Go practice your rod handling. Funny, that's what I was going to tell you before you left for your big date. Again, I'm sorry, I just got to read this whole thing because it's so hilarious. Boy, I missed you, Carter. I never thought I'd say that, but it's true. You're a good egg. Right, and the bird cracks continue. You know, Oliver, the ancient Egyptians had a word for people like you. Oh yeah? What's that? Schmuck. I love that. I love it. I love it. And even, of course, I'm going to take a trip to Sherwood. Sherwood, of all the kind, this is getting too corny for. Mr. Hood, I can't speak for the men, but you're certainly making me married. Typical Kevin dialogue. But somehow it fits these two. I cannot say that enough. It's like this type of dialogue where you're like, interesting. But then you also have the other thing going on during this with Ollie. You introduce this person who's hunting down cakes. Like, he introduced a few individual characters, like this woman, Virago, which means shrew, and she basically defends Pennsylvania. and she's taken down by a. We saw him kill another hero earlier, but this guy named Onomatopoeia, who would become something Kevin would use, I'll bet. And eventually it leads to Onomatopoeia taking down Connor, and then Ollie coming in, fighting him, and Onomatopoeia gets away. And that's the last we would see of him for a while, and then Kevin Smith would be done with his run. It would lead into Brad Meltzer's run, or arc. And then Judd Winnick would eventually take over. But Onomatopoeia would return in when Kevin Smith returned to DC with Batman Cacophony. 3 issues with pretty good artwork by Walt Flanagan, I must say. Where basically Onomatopoeia, he's ready to take a crack at Batman. And, and he takes the Joker with him, teams up, and Batman and Kevin, because Walt wanted to draw a lot of these characters, allow him to draw people like Maxie Zeus and everything, and Joker wanted revenge on Maxie Zeus because basically Maxie Zeus was supposed to take all of Joker's fear gas and basically do a ransom. But instead he realizes if you take Joker's gas, distill it down barely enough, you can get a very incredible kick of a drug. And basically Joker decides, yeah, I'm going to give him some payback. And Maxie Zeus, he seems to have actually cleared up for a bit. Until Joker decides to get back by going to his nephew's place. I do love it, like, I don't know what you're talking about, Maxie. It's great to me. And then at the very end, basically Joker, he blows up the school with his nephew in there. And at the very end, dries off. And Maxie Zeus saying, "Get me my toga." As he basically then, it's basically a war between them, at least for a brief bit. Eventually, Maxie Zeus does get his mind cleared up a bit, thanks to Batman. And we do have a brief fight between Batman and Onomatopoeia first. Gets away. And basically then, near the end of it, this is where Kevin Smith's argument gets a little bit off. Like he has Joker saying, who would ever be your greatest foe? And he's like, my greatest foe? There was a time I considered you my second most dangerous, but you've gone soft, clown. It'd be dangerous to list you at 16. I think Kevin's trying to have Batman, mess with him a bit. But then, one thing I do like is that, and Joker thing is going to be the usual moment, until Onomatopoeia just shoots him in the head. And Joker's like, that was it? Wait a second, what? Although this ties back to something with Deadshot, where Deadshot something similar. Basically puts Kevlar in the helmet with a blood splat to fake the death. Make it look like a headshot. And basically then, eventually when it looks like Onomatopoeia, Joker, and Batman's gonna win, Onomatopoeia stabs Joker and gets away. And Batman basically tells Gordon, we gotta get an ambulance here. And Gordon's right down, let him die. He brought this on himself. You didn't do anything. I'm not telling you to kill him. I'm telling you not to save him. And yeah, a bit of nod to Joker, devil's advocate a bit, but by the end of it all, Batman won out and Joker is saved. And okay, apparently Joker knows about Matches Malone at least. I know, Matches strikes again. And I love this. Look at this dokey smile on Joker. He's so doped up on morphine and other stuff and tying back into something that happened during JLA, Batman decides to ask him, did he feel like, this is the most stable and sane-minded you're ever going to be. So I need to know, do you want to kill me? And Batman explains himself. And then Joker says, I do want to kill you. I do. I want to see you dead because then the only way is then we'll both be free. In this big, long-winded speech. Then, you think wow, that's awesome. Then Kevin ends on a very dirty joke saying, since we're being so truthful, I should tell you I saw a little bit of your junk when you were getting changed before. Really, Kevin? And at the end, we find out Onomatopoeia, he has a normal life. Keep an eye on that house. It's important later. He has a family, and they think it's a good guy. But he's secretly, he's hunting down capes. He killed down a few lesser ones already, and he's still ready for Batman. But he's going to be changing his game up a bit. This then leads into Winding Gyre. What was meant to be first 6 issues of a full 12, but the last 12 still haven't been finished up yet. It's been over 10 years now. But in this case, basically, okay, here we go. Batman is dealing with just a bunch of weird threats that get out of control. Like, here's his poison, and here's, well, it's poison ivy, by the way. Kevin Spinn's basically doing whatever Walt wants to draw. A very creepy Etrigan. But after this, if this first issue happens, it's just Batman just introducing everything going on until this weird guy shows up. Bamfit or whatever shows up and helps him dealing with Etrigan, who's gone nuts by splashing holy water on his face. And that first issue ends there. Then the next issue deals with after the guy saves someone else again, we then also have some flashbacks among other things until Silver St. Cloud comes back into Bruce's life. This was the first time I ever encountered Silver, and I gotta say, Walt draws a great Silver, and Kevin, he really you can tell he loves this character because he writes her very well. And the other thing is, I love how he brings back some 90s characters, like Cornelius Stark, the cannibal who can cause hallucinations. But basically, they have it be that, with back to Silver for a second, that, well, her husband is dead, and she just feels like she needs to get away from herself, and now she feels, since they both gotten older, and this is after Dark Detective, that maybe they could try again. And that's one other thing that happens during all this, is that the two then decide to start up a relationship again. And it actually starts to work. It actually starts to he starts to fall for her again, very hard. And we have him still meet with the new guy. He's starting to like him, and he's starting to, as time goes on, as time with Silver. What I love about this, and I don't know if this is Kevin's intention, the more Bruce is falling for Silver, the more Bruce is starting to become dominant, and the more it starts to compromise Batman. As time goes on, he's falling for her, but he's also starting to become a bit more trusting of this Bamfit guy. A bit too trusting, if you ask me. To the point, because he's basically starting to, be like, hey, he's a good guy. I should let him in already, even though this guy's showing some signs already. And, you know what I mean? And he's just starting to show some, he's already like, wait. Oh yeah, I'm gonna let him in already. Also, love the old, in how Walt draws Selena in her old costumes, like that one, and hold on. Oh, where? The 60s outfit. She looks so great in that one. But again, he's just way too trusting, to the point where he follows him and home where he lives, and you can barely make it out. Look at that house. We'll get to that. But yeah, basically he says, like, why? Why'd they kill my brother? Then in the double-sized last issue, we have Bruce proposes to Silver. Also, Star Trek teleporters. Really, Kevin? But yeah, he proposes to her. We find out what DD means. It means they reach double digits. Yes, it's a brief bit where Bruce thinks like she's perfect, too perfect. So he tries to rip her hair out and everything, basically having it be like his paranoid side is taking over. It was a vengeance. But when he realizes it really is her, he then all like, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. And again, he's showing more. Oh, here's another infamous moment. Kevin Smith takes that great moment from Batman Year One. The whole, you feasted on Gotham's its spirit. Your feast is nearly over. None of you are safe. He takes a bit that he learned from firefighters that explosion called people have a bladder spasm. And anybody says Batman wet his pants because the blast is too strong. And people have taken it like, oh, he made him wet. Like, no, guys, it's a spasm. It happens. Kevin should not put that on Year One. I admit, but I get what he was going for. He was just trying to reveal, like, oh yeah, that awesome moment. Also was an embarrassing one for me. But really, and again, he's trusting this to the new guy. And then, Oh yeah, then he tells Selena's devastated. Oh yeah, like you're not gonna leave him at the altar, Selena. And I do love, I love it. I wore two of my dumbest costumes for you too, you jerk. But I just love this with Deadshot. Let me guess. You need a hug. I need a hug. But yeah, basically then, oh, I love this bit. Bamfin, the Joker, looks at him, and Joker, he smiles. What does he know? And then he takes him Bamfin to the cave. Yeah, he trusts and reveals his identity to him. See what I mean? Batman would never do that. Bruce might if Bruce is really drawn out, and yeah, then it happens. He turns himself away. Bamfit's putting another mask on. Ka-clack! Ka-clack! Yep. Bamfit was onomatopoeia as he slit Silver's throat. And that's it. We never found out what happens yet. Kevin's still working on it. His lateness happy again. Probably getting too high these days, but yeah. I still want to know what happens, but I do love that notion that because of Silver, he's compromised. Because here's how I always look at that. Silver is perfect for Bruce. She likes Batman. It would not tell him to stop, but she loves Bruce and brings out Bruce. Selena gets both worlds. She's my favorite Batman, but she loves both. When she loves Batman, anyway, Bruce. And then Talia leans more towards the Bat than Bruce. So you see where I'm going with that? Then there's Batman 66 meets the Green Hornet. What can I say? It's a great adventure with him and Green Hornet meeting up again. Bring back one of the villains that beforehand, but because they can't use the likeness of the guy, they decided to cover his face up in cement, basically. And Colonel Gum, he's covered up in frozen gum. And then by the end of it all, yeah, just a silly adventure that lasts 6 issues. Very good. You know, so it'll be the start of a lot of the Batman 66 crossovers. Speaking of Green Hornet, I love this. Much like with Frank Miller's RoboCop scripts, Kevin Smith's Green Hornets was adapted into this, and I wish this was made instead of the movie we got, because this felt like one of the kind of like it's like the Mask of Zorro for Green Hornet, where basically you have a new generation taking over, and the old generation's killed the prior Zorro is killed off, and basically it's up to him and the new Kato, who Kevin Smith sets up as a lesbian in this, and then later write reveal, oh no, she's not a lesbian, she's straight. In fact, the current Green Hornet, where Kato is now green, where they swap roles, is obviously continuing off from this. Which that one I don't mind. I think they actually handled that pretty well. But throughout all this, I just love how all it feels like. I mean, you can definitely tell where this is at a movie, but you have, you know, the Black Hornet and everything, and then I love how they basically tried to have him, first of all, I love this. Just some of the shots that Phil Hester did the layout, and then Jonathan Lau would finish over, which you can't really tell about Hester's influence, but it's very, very good. And then eventually I love how he's trying on different costumes to perfect the look. You know, like he wears night vision goggles, guy turns the light on, gah! Or he tries to be more like Batman as like, I'm the... I want you to tell your friends about me. What are you? I'm the Green Hornet. Guy grabs his mask and knocks him over. And then at the end he's like, screw the new. I'll stick with the classics. And we find out why it works. And basically goes through. They defeat the Black Hornet. They, avenge his dad. Although again, I love how they beat him. Basically, like his father kept saying, like, you're not going to do anything by dropping your pants, because he was a slacker. The main guy was a slacker. The new Hornet was a slacker. And then by the end of it all, then the bad guy's dangling from his legs. So what does he do? He undoes his pants and he falls to his death. And I love it. I just killed the man who killed my father by taking off my pants. I think Dad would have loved it. And yeah, Then at the very end, it's where we hint out about the whole, the ending of it all, where she's, it's revealing that Kato's gay, the new Kato's gay, like, you're into chicks? Like I said, we have a lot in common. Seriously, chicks, shut up and punch people. It's like, that would have been a great way to end it out on. And again, eventually this became the new ongoing for Dynamite, and it's, again, very well done. I really like it. And then, last but not least, is Bionic Man. Same creating crew as this one, and all in one volume though. And basically this was based off of his treatment he was doing for a movie for Bionic Man, and it feels like it. You have the Bionic dog, you hint off the Bionic woman, and he basically takes a version of one of the lesser villains. Hold on. They actually describe it in somewhere in here. Hold on. Oh yeah, basically it's meant to be a version based off of Mastron from the old series. And basically it takes the notion of a bionic soldier. What would happen if, for the sake of a movie, you would have him of course go against another bionic man. And basically it just deals with that. It builds up to him becoming the Bionic Man, him learning it and having to deal with it. It does feel like a movie, but in a trade, it's probably a lot better than the single issues. Unfortunately, they tried to continue this for a little while. They dropped it and went back to continuing the old show instead of falling from this. I guess they couldn't get much mileage out of this one, but again, Kevin really had a good idea and a good understanding for stuff that would have made a good movie. Lately, again, I'm not sure, but then of course you have his famous Superman script that never got made, thankfully, but wish that one would get adapted. But yeah, that's Kevin Smith, as far as all I've got, and guy's a great writer, very creative, writes very good dialogue that still feels like real people, even though you're like, I can't believe that character said it, and you realize, but wait, I could see him say that. That's the funny thing is, he really gets the character and just writes them real, dirty-minded as many of them can be, but again, it's in a way you're like, if they really had a chance to write that stuff, that's probably something they would say. And I just hope he keeps on working. I hope he comes back to comics again. I loved a lot of his stuff. What else can I say? That's all. And tomorrow, or Sunday, depending if I do anything else on Saturday, I'll be talking about Jimmy Palmiotti. And that one's going to be a lot longer, people. So, until then, take care.